welcome to Catechris Magazine. We can be found on the web at www.catechris.com. I am Jason J. Rock Houston, and today our special guest is lead singer Chelsea Wrathchild from the band Demiaura, and you guys are based out of Phoenix, Arizona. Welcome to the show today, Chelsea. How you doing?
Thank you so much, Jason. Good to be here.
Yeah. Now, what's the music scene like there in Phoenix, where you guys are from?
It's actually pretty strong in metal. I've lived in a couple different states over the course of my life, so I've experienced a couple different metal scenes around the country. But I'd say that Phoenix is probably one of the strongest ones, and it's one of the reasons I moved here. Certainly wasn't the intense heat. That's definitely not the main reason I would want to be here. But yeah, I would say the metal scene is really strong out here. It's very supportive, and there's some surprisingly quality bands that we've played shows with, and just a little more pro level than I've kind of experienced in some of the places I've lived. So yeah, I'm really impressed.
So where are you originally from?
I'm originally from Pennsylvania.
Oh, wow. Quite the move. And like you said, kind of depending on what time of the year is in Arizona, in the summer it gets, I know, as high as sometimes like 110 degrees, and in the winter it gets, in certain parts of Arizona, it even snows. So you kind of get both types of weather.
Yeah, and it gets really extreme really quickly. It's like we have a monsoon season, which is during the summer, so we just get pummeled with rain throughout all the summer. And it's a Wild West out here, man, I tell you.
Wow, and so let me ask you, I was going to ask you, you mentioned, I was curious if you played out live before?
Mm-hmm. Yep, we've played several shows in Phoenix, and we opened for Fate's Warning. Queen's Reich was actually the last show that we did January of last year.
Oh, interesting.
Yep, and then Jeff Tate, we opened for him as well. Doro, Metal Church, Tony McAlpine.
Oh, wow, you've been with quite a few national acts. That's great. Now, I know very little about the band. I'll be honest with you till I got a press release from your publicist. Now, how long has the band actually been together?
So yeah, that's a little convoluted on that, but basically the band was an instrumental band. It kind of formed, I would say, 2013, something like that.
Oh, interesting.
So they stayed instrumental for a while, kind of out of necessity. They just couldn't seem to find the singer that, worked for whatever reason or the other. And then I found them on a Craigslist, out of all things, in early 2017, and I was just absolutely blown away. I was like, oh my God, this is the band that I have been wanting to be in my whole life. They were so proggy, and that's exactly the direction that I really wanted to focus on.
Now that's interesting, because I could see, you coming across this band online and you think, oh boy, I'd really love to be in that band, especially as a singer. But that's kind of interesting that there was no previous singer in this band, and you were just kind of judging the band based on their instrumentation. That's pretty unique. Yeah,
and they had a demo kind of EP, like a 10-song EP they had released in 2015, and obviously all instrumental, everything like that.
Yeah.
So they had quite a collection of stuff going on, and the ad was 6 months old, and I'm like, there's no way in hell these guys don't have a singer already. They're just so amazing. And I texted, ended up being Keith, who's the drummer. And I'm like, you guys cool with a female singer? He said, yeah, actually, we prefer that, so let's give it a shot. So they had sent me one of their songs, and I auditioned with them, and they loved what I did, and it's just kind of the rest is history.
Well, that's a great story. I love that. And now let me ask you, because I was noticing when I was watching the video for the band's first single off the new album that's coming out Friday, it's called Between Two Fires. And I noticed in the credits that, of course, it lists you as a vocalist, and it lists a drummer and a keyboard player. I also seen that there's a guitar player and bass player playing in the video, but are they not official members of the band? Could you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. So Bobby Chavez was our guitar player, and he also played bass on the album as well.
Okay.
So very, very talented guy. Yeah, super talented guy. He's no longer with the band, and he just decided to move on and do some other things.
And are you guys looking for new members, or?
At the moment, no, and that's only because John, our keyboard player, is an incredible guitar player himself, so we're actually thinking about putting him on guitars and just kind of, retooling things a little bit
Interesting,
for
yeah.
a second album, and kind of seeing, how that goes with a completely different kind of setup. And, luckily we're all really good with tech stuff. We're all, we all have our own kind of little mini studios at home, so we can kind of get that set up remotely.
Yeah, and the reason I ask that is I myself am a fan of like hard rock and metal music, and so one of the things that I gravitate towards when listening to music is the guitar. So that's something I really picked up on, and I really dig, and I'm just basing this off the current single and video because that's all I've heard so far. And I mean, I saw the video and I heard the track, and it's like I thought, wow, this band, just based on what I've heard so far, it seems to have like a fresh, real original sound. And what I mean by that is when you listen to something for the first time, you're kind of thinking, who does this band remind me of? And in your case, you guys are definitely a metal band, but I didn't leave me thinking, oh, they're trying to sound like Metallica or Megadeth. You just kind of got your own thing going, and it kind of left me kind of wanting to hear the rest of the album, if you know what I mean. Like when it comes out on Friday, I want to go out and hear the rest of it. So I think you guys got something really unique, and like I said, I tend to gravitate towards the guitar, so that's why I kind of took notes on it. It's kind of interesting that you guys are pretty much a 3-piece band, and it's not necessarily centered around the guitar, although that's an important aspect of what you guys do, obviously. And again, I bring that up because there aren't a lot of, and it's very different sounding music, but there aren't a lot of 3-piece bands these days. I mean, you have to go back to some of the classic rock, like, Cream, or even the Jimi Hendrix Experience or Grand Funk Railroad. And so, talk a little bit about that, fact that you kind of based around the vocals, the drums and the keyboard. That's very unique, but I think that's what kind of gives you guys your sound.
Right, and thank you for the compliment on being unique, because it's not something that we necessarily try to do. It just kind of happened.
Came out that way, yeah.
You're right, and I think it really just tends to show, like, a lot of the bandmates are super influenced by Rush, which obviously, they're just a trio, and they kind of just make things happen, and, make it happen really well, obviously, and I come from a background of a lot of power metal, prog, thrash, all the stuff that I loved growing up, so... it's kind of interesting just how it worked out, just the synergy, because, like I said, all the songs are instrumental before, so they tend to be, a little on the longer side because they never had vocals before until like 3-4 years ago. Yeah. And, when I got in there, I just was like, I want to be in this band so badly. I want to make this work so badly. I want to try harder than anybody's tried, to be in this band before, and just, really make the best of what's already there without messing with it too much, and then just kind of add a layer so the listeners can actually, hook onto something and be like, oh, okay, cool. Like there's something that you can kind of latch onto, whether it's the chorus or just, some fun little, riff or something like that. You need people to have that attention, and with instrumental stuff, you don't always have that. So that was challenging for me because, half the music was written, probably 5 years ago, and then the other half was written, when I joined. So we were trying to strike that balance between not changing what those guys had already had too much. And that was my preference. I didn't want to change them because I love the music. I think it's fantastic. Yeah. And I didn't want to water it down or dumb it down or anything like that. So and that's kind of just speaks to, one of my biggest influences is Fate's Warning, and just the way that they approach things, it's just, you always have Ray Alder's vocals as kind of the center point, and other things are kind of framing around it. And I think that's kind of the direction we want to go for the next album, is kind of retooling a little bit of things where, the songs are maybe a little shorter, a little more friendly for DJs, stuff like that. But also things that kind of don't, meander as much, and maybe just have a little more focus. So, there's always room for, growth and evolution and everything, and I think that, kind of the new era of Demiaura here has that potential.
And let me ask you, because you mentioned Fate's Warning a few times, and I had the chance to interview the bassist Joey Vera, and he plays in both Fate's Warning and Armored Saint. And even those two bands are very different sounding, and I imagine that's why he's involved. One is more of a metal band, one's kind of a little more of a progressive metal band. And so, what's it like for you? Not that you just get to join this great band that you found and that you love, but obviously you're a Fate's Warning fan. So what's it like kind of to go from being a fan of a band like that to getting to open a show for them? That's got to be like the ultimate, dream come true.
Oh my God, yeah, it was, and we were direct support for Fates Warning a couple years back, which I was just like, almost passed out. I was so excited, and eventually got to meet those guys a little bit later and kind of tell them the situation because we had just gotten signed. When I met them, literally like that week when I ended up meeting them, which was kind of a separate show, but it was just really cool because those guys are as I'm sure as you well know, you've interviewed two of the guys in the States, really down to earth, just super sweet guys, and just to be able to kind of come full circle almost and just be like, telling my idols, like, hey, I've got this opportunity. We just got signed with Pavement. Ray Alder's like, oh yeah, I know Pavement. And, just so cool. It was really freaking cool. Like as a teenager, like a 19-year-old, I'd have been like, oh my God, there's no way you'd even be able to talk to those guys. But now it's like, oh, we're going on before you. We're all backstage together. It's like we're all loading in.
And that's got to make it that much, cool. Cooler for you. Not just that, you grew up listening to this band, and now you're getting to open for them with your band. But the fact that they turn out to be such nice guys, I got to make it that much better because, I've had the chance to interview guys that aren't even on that level, just in a local band, haven't had that kind of success, and they have a real crappy attitude. I mean, I'll just give you a quick story because I'm not going to name any names, but this guy that was even on the, level of a Joey Vera or John Bush, and I've interviewed him more than once. I was, gave him like great reviews and, gave his band, great props and stuff. And the manager, who was kind of in charge of his, I guess, record company as well, kind of complained about the fact that the audio sounded so well. I apologize for that. I explained we're not in a professional studio and it is what it is. And so his attitude was kind of like, you know what, I don't like your attitude, and you're never going to get to interview this guy again. And, okay, well, that's too bad. There are plenty of other people to interview. But then I reached out to the, guy in the van, and I said, I didn't really like your manager's attitude. And he said, well, you got to understand, I got to kind of go along with what he says because, that's the way I get to make records. He gives me the money. I said, okay, well, that's fine too, And then there are people, and then even talking to you today, Chelsea, I mean, I'm talking to you for the first time, and you seem, super friendly, and that makes me that much more excited about, your band and that. I think, well, what a great attitude, what a great talent. I mean, especially even after watching, that video, I looked at that video and thought, man, that's a professionally shot video. It looks like something you would have seen, on MTV back in the day. So I think it's only, up for you guys.
Yeah, thank you. And I do appreciate that because I think for all of us in the band, we're all super humble, down-to-earth people. There's not a single guy or gal, in my case, who has an attitude, has an ego, has a diva thing. I mean, I'm loading up drums every time we do shows at 3-inch heels, and trying not to stumble around and break my buns or anything like that. But it's just you have to take things into perspective. It's like we've all, as musicians, we've all wanted this our entire lives, and you really have to kind of be like, oh my God, this is finally happening. And, for me and for the rest of the guys, we're just so grateful and so appreciative. And I think ego is something that will kill a band, in general, and kill the vibe for anybody that they talk to. And it's so important to me personally to just be cool. It's like, it's not that hard. Just be cool, be friendly, just be a good person, and just, be appreciative of the things that you have around you. And, I'm always super happy when somebody asks me, hey, can I have a photograph or an autograph at the end of the show. It's just like, this is what I've been working my ass off so hard for. This is it right here, and I don't mind. It's super cool, and if things take off and get even bigger than they are, I never want to lose that attitude.
Yeah, and I gotta tell you, before doing the interview today, I gotta let people know I never talked to you except for quickly online today to kind of prep for the interview. We're chatting a little this morning online, but kind of I had the preconceived notion, well, she's a singer, this must be her band. And then come to talk to you and you find out, no, it was a pre-existing band. But my point being is that I think by you joining the band that you added, actually, the vocal sound of this band, which is a very important thing to what they are now doing. And as great, I believe in girl power and all that, but I very much probably just based on what I've heard and seen in the video, I'm sure that the guys did not just hire you because you're a female, singer, and as great as that is. And what I mean is, a lot of times, bands will do stuff like that. But I think I'm just kind of guessing that probably you got hired more just based on the fact of what a talented singer you are, just than let's make it a girl-fronted band. You know what I mean?
Right, right, yeah, and that was absolutely, I completely agree with you in that, and I'm all about, empowering other women and other bands, but at the end of the day, I just sing, and I don't care, if I'm whatever. This is what I do, this is what I love. I don't care if I was male or female. It's like, I don't give a crap, and the stuff that I love is, definitely male-fronted. Like, my favorite bands are all men, and my favorite singers are all men, and so it's like, well, I'll do what I can, but the guys were really cool about everything, and, they're all, mature guys, and they're all good guys with families and stuff like that, and, I never got the impression, it's like, oh, let's just get some hot chicks, because it'll get us, it's never been about that. It's always just been about the music, and it was very clear to me, like I said, when I heard their demo, before I even joined them, like, this is a musician's band, and this is if you're a musician yourself and you kind of really pay attention to some of the stuff going on, to me, it still impresses me. And I don't mean my own stuff by any means, I just mean them. Like,
I hear you.
Stuff, I'm like, holy crap, like, and the stuff that, they pull off even in the studio, they pull off live, and it's the little hairpin turns and the sudden stops, and you'll hear them in the album when you take a listen to it the rest of the way. But, it's, like I said, I would be following these guys if I wasn't already in the band.
Wow. And so, are you primarily just a singer, or do you play instruments as well?
I'm the singer and I'm the lyricist. So I wrote all the lyrics for the album. There was one song that my drummer Keith actually wrote lyrics for. He's a great lyricist as well, and it was actually the song that I auditioned with. It's called "Shining Through."
Oh wow!
And I believe it's like kind of one of the middle to last half of the album, kind of a ballad.
Yeah.
And I do the lyrics and the vocals, and then I'm also an audio engineer. That's what my degree is in.
Oh wow!
And so I edited all my own vocals, excuse me, and everything to kind of keep things really clean. I'm kind of a perfectionist, so I try to hold myself up to a pretty impossible standard. But we're all human.
Well, just like being the diehard Judas Priest fan I am, I'll say that you seem to deliver the goods. Okay, so
thanks.
A great job there. But like when you joined the band, do you feel that because this was an existing band, so now that you're kind of the vocal ingredient that was kind of missing before. Did these guys kind of allow you to come in and just start writing the songs and kind of do your thing, or how involved are they with the writing of the songs?
Well, so I didn't want them to change too much, and I think like I mentioned earlier, half the album was probably some of the older songs that they had written before I joined, and half of them was after I had joined. So some of the more recent songs were definitely retooled and kind of with my opinion in mind, and I'd kind of sit there with those guys and I'd be like, hey, can we just extend this verse out 4 bars? I just need one more time to kind of vibe on it. And literally it was like I hardly changed anything because I just really liked what I heard. So it was really kind of an easy process. I let those guys just kind of do their thing, and they're great at the improv kind of stuff, and that's really how a lot of the songs came about, was just kind of jamming out for like a half hour and ooh, that's cool, let's put that together. So really at the end of the day, I kind of waited for them to kind of figure out what they wanted to do, and then I just did stuff around it. So I would write my lyrics after the music was done, which is kind of an opposite process of what I used to do, because there's so many changes, there's so much stuff going on in all the songs. It's like I couldn't have just a standard verse chorus kind of thing going on. I had to have little half bridge, and is this a half verse? I don't know. It's just like classic prog. You're not really sure what these parts are called, but it's well, I'm hearing something over it in my head, so let's just write something for it.
Wow, and so like lyrically, as you're writing the lyrics, I mean, is it how like most bands do in the sense that like, okay, you're hearing the instrumental piece or of music, and you kind of are riffing off of it, or like when you come up with lyrics, do you immediately know what the song is going to be about lyrically, or does it kind of come to you as you're hearing the music flow out of them?
That's a good question, and weirdly enough, the one answer is neither, because with these guys, they will give kind of arbitrary names to some of the songs, and it's usually my drummer, Keith, doing that, and he'll just come up with whatever. And sometimes I'm like, that's actually pretty cool, let me write something around that. It kind of gives me an idea of where to go with it. So I'll do that and kind of frame it around. And sometimes the lyrics have absolutely freaking nothing to do with the title. It's just, but I like the title, and I'm like, you know what? Who cares? And people will figure it out, or they won't. And make the lyrics ambiguous enough to where people are like, okay, I can kind of see that or kind of relate to that or whatever.
And I think you kind of just answered this, but just to clarify, like being the songwriter, how much do you enjoy, like when people come up to you and they kind of tell you, like, you know, I really dug that song, and this is what I got out of it, and you're like, well, that's not, you know, maybe what I wrote about the song about, but that's cool that you got that out of it, or you had a different experience, because, you know, when people listen to music, it really takes on sometimes a special meaning based on that person's, you know, life experience.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely, and it's, you know, at the end of the day, it's whatever it means to them, if it's special to them, and whatever way, that's really the main goal. And because, you know, it's like, you know, I'm sure as you well know, and every other music fan and musician out there, it's like we want to be able to inspire people the way that we've been inspired. And in whatever way that happens for me or for the band, like, that's cool. Like, I don't even care how I get there, like, as long as I get there.
Yeah, I mean, I seen you online, you know, kind of posting stuff today, and you were mentioning that, I mean, your album doesn't even come out till Friday, and you guys are already on top 30 of some lists. I mean, how great is that?
That blew my mind. Our label manager had, the label president had actually sent us that this morning, and I'm just like, holy moly, because we were up there with, you know, Gojira and Within Temptation, Fear Factory, you know, and all these other bands, and I'm like, holy crap, but I have some of their CDs, and I have for years, and I'm just so humbled by that. I'm still a little bit in shock, so yeah, hoping to see that, you know, happen some more.
And to me that speaks volumes, because again, the album's not even out, and so, like I said, the only reason I know anything about your band is, you know, the publicist sent me a little nice press release on you guys, and I went and checked it out, because she always sends me great bands to cover, you know, on my site and stuff, and so anytime I get some from that person, I check out, you know, the band that they want me to help promote and spread the word about, and I thought, what a great little band this is. But see, that's too the power of the internet. I mean, let's talk about that, because like you're this band from Phoenix, Arizona, and I'm sure you're always getting messages and hearing from fans, and it's got to be a great feeling that, again, the album's not even out, and you're probably hearing from people all around the world, places that the band's never even played live, and that's got to be a great feeling.
Oh, it is, and we're really fortunate to have partnered with Pavement to be signed by them, because they have, you know, worldwide reach. They have Sony distribution, so they can go literally worldwide. And also, my drummer is he works for Facebook, so he is great with Facebook ads. Like, that's his thing that he does all day long. So I do the website, he does the Facebook ads, and then with Pavement's help, it really helps us reach, you know, the corners of the earth that I don't think we'd ever play. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because like Pavement, you know, the publicist from that label, she's always sending me great bands on the label to kind of, you know, interview and stuff. And I got to tell you, it's a great little label for a fact that, I mean, just to kind of put this out there for people, I mean, you're on the same label as Candlebox, okay? And they were kind of like a 90s alternative rock band. They went away for a few years, came back, you know, maybe about five or 6 years ago. And they've been with the label ever since. But my point is, it was started by this guy, Tim King. He's a metal guy from the band Soil, the bass player. And you'd think a guy like that would start up a metal label and sign nothing but metal acts. But I love the fact that you could have a band like you know, your band and Candlebox on the same label, and they just promote the hell out of the bands.
Yeah, they do. They do a really good job. And Tim is exactly who I was talking about when I mentioned, you know, who had told me about the crack in the top 30 in the loud rock chart. So, yeah, really great guys. Mark and Tim are both super good dudes. They've been really on it and really communicative and responsive, and which is really important to me, because I'm kind of the main point of contact, trying to, you know, organize everything and get all these interviews scheduled and stuff like that. But I'm really appreciative of what they've done so far. And get to talk to people like you, so it's pretty cool. Yeah,
and what I love about a guy like Tim King is, you know, he's not just a guy in a suit. I mean, he's lived the life. You know, he's been a band in himself. So for all these bands that he's signed into the label, they can look to him and say, okay, this is a guy that's actually lived the life. He's done it. So this is a good place to be, as opposed to some guy that knows nothing about, you know, being in a band, or, you know, what it's like to be out there on tour, try to promote your stuff, you know. So I think that's part of the reason they've been so successful.
I agree, and that's why they understand it from the band's perspective, just like you said. And so it's like, okay, well, you know, if I was in this band, how would I want to be talked to and treated and stuff like that? So I think it really does help with their perspective quite a bit.
Yeah, and so how did you guys hook up with Pavement? I mean, was it a matter of you sending them a demo? Did they reach out to you? Did they hear about the band first?
Yeah, it's actually kind of a cool story. So, Images of Eden, maybe you have heard of them. Or
yeah, actually, I'll send you later an interview that I did with the lead singer, Gordon. I've interviewed him twice. Yeah, super cool guy.
Nice, yeah. Oh, they're great guys. Yeah, that whole band is just really a bunch of cool dudes. So, Steve Dorsum, who is the drummer.
The drummer, yeah, I spoke with him as well.
You probably know Steve too.
Yeah.
Everybody knows Steve. So he actually directed our music video with us, and he's a really good personal friend of the band. He's known, members of the band for almost 30 years.
Oh, wow.
So, good personal friends, and he's a Phoenix guy here too. So, he actually, because he's on Pavement, his band is on Pavement, and so he actually put in a good word for us to Tim and Mark at Pavement. And we had our music video done already. We had a really nice first song demo.
I love that even more. When another band, helps out another band like that. I mean, that's really what it's all about,
Yeah, and it was really just so fortunate because we may or may not have gotten this record deal without them, without their help. So to have them put in a good word for us and get their attention at least. I mean, that's half the battle is getting a label's attention, and then have them sit down long enough to listen to the songs, listen to the watch the music video and the photos that they included and stuff like that. So it was really, really lucky.
Because I'm sure all through your career you've had people tell you, let's see what I can do to help you. Nothing ever becomes of it, but to have some guy in another band actually say, let me put in a good word for you, and I'll even direct your video. I mean, how cool is that?
Yeah, and then it's funny because that is exactly what I thought. Because Steve, from the very beginning, literally our very first show, he was waiting backstage, and the first time I'd ever met him in summer of 2017. I'd pretty much just joined. It was our very first show, and I didn't know Steve. I was like, who's this dude? He's very friendly. You're like, what's going on? And he's like, I'm going to help you. And I was like, okay, cool, man. I'm appreciative and all that stuff. But it's like, I've kind of heard that before. But I'm like, son of a gun, he freaking delivered, and he said everything that he had intended to do and everything he told us he was going to do and then some. And he's been a great resource for us for the last several years to kind of give us heads up about things, and even this whole process of getting the album out and marketing it and everything. He's been extremely helpful.
And the name of your debut album is The Ascendant. It comes out this Friday on the 16th. And let's talk a little bit about the album now. There's the first track and single and video, like I said, is for Two Fires, Between Two Fires. Obvious question is, why did you guys pick that as a great track, I think, but why did you guys, was that your choice or a record label's choice to go with that?
I think that was our choice because we did the video before we even sent everything to Pavement. So that was our choice, and it was just kind of a gut reaction of, hey, what has a good hook to it in the chorus, and it has enough of a kind of playability that people might, recognize or, get the song stuck in their head or whatever. It was a little more of the, is this memorable kind of thing. It's like a lot of our songs, very proggy, lots of twists and turns and stuff going on, and it's like, might lose some people. I don't know. If you're not super.
And what I love about the track too is the fact that it features a keyboard player. And what I mean by that is you often will hear people say, which I totally disagree with. They'll tell you keyboards, suck in rock music. They don't belong. But I tell them, okay, go back and listen to any of that classic rock stuff in Deep Purple that John Lord did. I mean, Bon Jovi, Boston, even Ronnie James Dio on his Dio albums, had a keyboard player. And my point is, you guys were able to do it in a way where having a keyboard player didn't really take anything away from the sound. If anything, it added to it. I mean, it still sounds metal,
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly. And that's kind of what we really wanted to do is John is a phenomenal keyboard player, probably the best I've ever met.
Yeah.
And, we really wanted to showcase him. And he has solos in a couple of other songs, but that one was a particularly memorable one because there's a lot of tension or a lot of build-up and stuff kind of around that solo. And we really wanted him to shine and kind of have his place in that because, he's just as important as the rest of us. And we want him to be well represented and heard because he's phenomenal.
And how many of these songs were old songs that are all, I'm talking about the songs that appear on the album now, old songs that these guys had already had when you joined the band and you kind of just added your lyrical input, or is it a mixture of kind of newly written stuff versus some stuff they already had?
It's not quite half and half. I'd say about 4 four of the songs I think are on the older side, and the rest were all created after I joined.
Yeah. And so you were telling me they have a previous album out before you were in the band. Now I was curious, is that album, like, if people still wanted to check it out, is it still available? Do you know, or is it out of print?
I think they just did physical copies. I don't think it's online anymore.
Okay.
So, yeah, I don't think it was just like a self-release kind of thing. So I don't even think it's around anymore.
Okay, I was just curious because, I'm kind of thinking, the fact that this band is off to a great start, everybody's really interested in the new album, but I'm sure there are going to be fans that kind of want to hear what came before. And
right.
Is there any plan to put that out there? Maybe, you could put like a special release out, or I'm even kind of thinking, I don't know if you guys, for any of those older fans that were around to support the band before you were in the band, like any chance that on a future release you might revisit some of that material, but maybe add your lyric or your vocal input, like do a newer versions?
Absolutely. There's still, several songs in the
catalog
bag that we could definitely, catalog exactly, that we could kind of retool and figure out and maybe shorten it up a little bit, because a lot of the songs, I call it the 7-minute curse. It's like the prog metal curse, where you just can't write anything under 7 minutes. Is really hard. So we kind of want to try to avoid that in the future, just for the sake of playability and keeping people. Although
I gotta tell you, I think it depends on the song. Because the thing I noticed in watching the video today, prepping for this, get ready to talk to you, was I did notice, only because I was looking, and it tells you how long the song is, that it was over 6 minutes. Now, it did not come across as a, Pink Floyd song, as great as they are, but just kind of go on and on. It seemed to fit the song. So I think in that case, if it seems to kind of fit, and you're like, you're not like Metallica used to do, kind of just back in the day, and we're going to do an 8 or 9 minute track, just for the sake of doing it. The song was great, just it didn't seem like it went on and on, is my point. Yeah.
Yeah, we try to put, when the guys wrote it, they really tried to put a bunch of different, things going on, a bunch of different riffs going on, so it kind of keeps your attention. There's never anything that they sit on forever, what I mean? Then they get bored, I get bored, I'm on stage and I'm like twiddling my thumbs, like, what are we doing, guys? Come on. So we really try to keep it moving and just keep people's attention.
And see, many people that are going to be coming to see you guys live are going to probably think, because it's like me, this is the first time they're hearing of the band, I'm not going to know there's a little history before. So, so if you were to cut out any of those older tunes, many of the people in the audience aren't going to be aware of those. But, again, it's part of the band's history. So have you given any thought to that, like in regards to the live show, the set list, like how much of it is going to be stuff off the new album versus, what came before you were in the band?
Well, pretty much what's on the album right now is kind of our catalog, because
so that's what people are going to know.
Else,
yeah,
that's what people are going to know, and anything else would have just been a pretty long instrumental. So I don't think we're going to be digging out of that stuff too much unless it gets redone.
Huge demand for it. Yeah,
just kind of freshen it up a little bit.
Well, makes sense. And let's talk a little bit about the video now. As far as again, it's a cool looking video. Where was it shot? Because it looks like, I don't know, you guys are out in the woods somewhere, but it looks pretty cool.
Yep, it was all done in Arizona. So we did half of the video in Phoenix on top of South Mountain, which is kind of one of our bigger mountain ranges we have out here. Literally at the top of the mountain. And
wow.
They have this really cool kind of little mini castle. I don't know what the proper term for it is, but it's this really cool stone room that's on the smaller side. You probably saw it a couple times, but that was the one half of the video. And then the second half of the video was done about an hour and a half north of Phoenix. And that's where you start getting into elevation. You start getting a little more greenery and water and stuff like that. So we kind of wanted to, highlight the natural beauty of Arizona, because, we're an Arizona band. We're proud of the state that.
Yeah, I think you did. That's the first thing I asked is like, where was it? Where's the shot? It was totally cool. Now, like when you guys are out, you're literally kind of out there in the middle of nowhere in the sense, or like where you're filming the video, where there are cars and that driving by.
I'm sorry, the cars are driving by?
Well, I just like I was wondering when you're doing the video shoot, if you're doing it like totally in a place where there's no interruptions, you're kind of out there by yourself.
Yeah. So we had for the top of the mountain, we actually had a permit to be up there.
Oh, wow.
And kind of isolated the area off just a little bit, so we couldn't, because there were plenty of tourists and stuff coming up there and looking around like, what's going on?
That's what I was saying. Like, hey, free concert, Yeah.
I know, it's like everybody's in leather and like heels, and what the heck are you doing here in Phoenix? You're crazy. And then the kind of more remote areas with the trees and the water and stuff like that. That was like kind of back in the woods a little bit.
Okay, that's pretty cool.
Anybody. Yeah. The only people we ran into, which was kind of funny, was this was like these two guys, and they had caught a rattlesnake and like grabbed it by hand.
Wow.
And were carrying it around, and it's just total Arizona. That's just like how it is up here.
Yeah.
Carries the rattlesnakes by hand. Okay, crazy, man.
I mean, I can tell you a story about that. I had a cousin that used to live in Arizona, and I went to visit them, and my cousin, like a rattlesnake, a rattlesnake like came up between my legs. I was about 15 years old, and I was like terrified what the snake was going to do. He got like a gun, and he just shot the snake dead. I like, wow.
That is classic Arizona. Like, that is literally the most Arizona thing you could possibly come up with.
Yeah. It was amazing. Something you never forget. And then not only did he shoot and kill the snake, but then he skinned the snake and gave me this snake skin.
Yeah, that's exactly what these guys are doing. They're like, yeah, good eating. I'm like, okay.
Wow.
Man, I'm kind of busy right now, but that's cool.
Yeah, and so like another thing I wanted to ask, because I noticed you got some pretty cool live photos like on your personal Facebook page, and I was kind of curious, like, do you design your stage outfits, or are they made, or how do you go about picking up what you're going to wear on stage?
I have this like a rotation of like 4 different types of pants and like 4 corsets, and I don't really I wish I could have the money for custom stuff, but for now I just try to find stuff that's most.
I mean, it's really rocking looking. That's why I was asking. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, and I really love kind of the way like Doro dresses and a lot of that kind of leather, and it's not always conducive for Arizona, so I got to be kind of careful so I don't pass out on stage.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I love doing that, and it's just kind of. It's just the way that I want to dress and the way that I kind of want to represent myself and how I feel best.
You mentioned Dora. I got to tell you, I last year I had the chance to interview her, like just first time I ever did it. Got a chance to talk to her, and it's amazing. She's been doing it as long as she is. She still looks super cool. She's super friendly. Got a great sounding. I mean, that accent still gets me, but super cool. And that's kind of what point we were making earlier. When you meet these people, and it's like, wow. Not only do I like that person's music, but they're super cool, which makes them even a better person.
Yeah, and it really when we're all fans of the band when we're kids and teens, it's like there's this mystique around these people. They're like demigods, or they're superheroes or something like that.
You find out, hey, they're just human beings. Yeah.
They're people. They come out of the bathroom, and I had Symphony X ask me where the bathroom was. When I was checking them out about 10, 15 years ago, and the whole band came up like, hey, you know where the bathroom is? I was like, oh my god, you know what I mean? It's kind of cool, and as I get older, I appreciate it a little more, and I know that mystique is still there a little bit for me, which kind of is still exciting and everything.
But now, being from Arizona, like, or fans that live there, are you starting to get noticed more? Do you see?
I wouldn't say so. I do live outside of town quite a bit. I'm actually an hour and a half north of Phoenix right now, so I'm not really in town very often.
Yeah, I hear you.
But yeah, I mean, definitely the scene, it's a big city. I think Phoenix is like 5 million people, something like that. But, you do end up running into a lot of the same people, and, end up in lines with other people at shows, and they're like, oh yeah, are you from that band Demiaura? I was like, oh yeah, hey man, how's it going? And I don't know who they are, but it's like you just strike up a conversation. So I wouldn't say I'm a celebrity or anything like that, but people, I tend to be recognized somewhat if we're in some metal show or something.
Yeah. Now I notice, obviously you're not the original member of the band, but do you happen to know a story behind the band's name? Because I always love to ask people, like, because it's one of the first things kind of caught my. Like Demiaura, what is that?
Right. Yeah. I definitely have gotten that question from several people, and my drummer came up with it a long time ago, and I asked him the story on this, and he had said he was kind of he does lyrics, so he's big on lyrics, and kind of was messing around with something, and he was messing around with the word demi, and demigod, demi whatever.
Oh, okay.
Kind of wanted to play with that a little bit, and so he was messing around, and the word aura kind of popped out at him too, and he said, okay, well, what does that mean? Is that like a half of a person, a half of a god?
Yeah.
What is that? And he just kind of figured it sounded cool, and it's probably not going to be taken, and just adds a little kind of mystique. And
I mean, I gotta tell you, I love that mystique about it, because I'll tell you, and when I got the press release from the publicist, I'm looking at the name of the band. I'm kind of, that was my first question, like, Demiaura, what is that? And then I first thought, okay, maybe it's Demi, like somebody's name. And I thought of maybe like a solo artist or something. And then I'm reading the press release a little better, and it's kind of weird, I guess. You'd friended me on Facebook, about a week or so ago, and I see Chelsea Wrathchild, and then I finally put, okay, she's a singer from that band that I'm going to be interviewing. And again, I got to ask you about that, because I'm assuming that's your stage name. What a cool sounding stage name, Wrathchild. I mean, I remember like in the '90s there was a band like called Wrathchild America, but I think
Wrathchild America, yep.
Yeah,
no, it's actually my legal name. I changed it in 2004. So yeah, that is not only my stage name, but it is my legal name as well.
Oh, I dig that. That's such a rock and roll thing to do. I mean, how many of our legendary artists that we follow, have changed their names? I mean, like Gene Simmons of Kiss, that's not his real name, but he legally changed it, and that's what people know him as.
Exactly, and it was kind of a cool story, because when I was about, I think I did it when I was like 19, 18, something like that. I had
legal, so you could do it.
My name.
Yeah.
I wanted to change my name for a long time, since I was a kid, and if there's anything wrong with it, it didn't feel like me, and all my idols kind of changed their name and whatever, and I thought about it for years, and like I couldn't come up with anything good, and I eventually just kind of gave up, and then I got a hold of Iron Maiden's Killers album, and got it in the mail one day from Amazon, and again, this was in like 2003, 2004, and flipped it around, and Wrathchild was the second song on there.
Oh, cool.
And I was like, holy crap, like, it literally was like an epiphany. I just knew it. I'm like, that's it, right there, and I had my mom take me to the local court, got my name changed, got like, I don't know, $200 or something like that, and that's how I've been this whole time.
Well, let me tell you a little bit about irony here, Chelsea. I had no idea that your name was kind of based on the Iron Maiden song. And funny thing is that not even knowing that, in prepping that we were going to do this interview today, I kind of announced it, as you saw on Facebook today, that we were going to be talking. And I happened to pick a photo to post of you.
With me, the Killers album,
Not even knowing that. And the other thing that makes this kind of unique is just the other day, I did a show with this guy talking about the fact that 2021 marks the 40th anniversary of Killers. I mean, I stopped to think about that for a minute. Wow, I can't believe that album is, that old. And and you're obviously, a little younger than me, but what was it, while we're on the subject of Iron Maiden, what was it about that album that just kind of made you say, hey, this is a great band?
Oh man, yeah. My uncle is a big metalhead, and he had given me the Summer in Time cassette when I was like 10 or 11, and I kind of inherited his old cassettes once he switched to CDs in the 90s. And so, I've been a metalhead since I was 11, and I was like, let's check these guys out, what is this? And I heard Bruce's voice, and I was like, what is this? This is just, holy crap. I had never heard a guy with
that kind of voice
like that. And, and the vibrato, and just the richness, and the expressiveness. And, I was hooked, ever since then. I was absolutely hooked, and Summer in Time to this day is still my favorite album.
And here's the funny thing about that. I mean, I have a similar experience in that maybe I was about a little younger. I was about 10 years old at the time, and I remember being in a record store when they actually had stores you go buy and buy music, folks. And I remember seeing the Number of a Beast album, like not even knowing anything about Iron Maiden at the time. I just came across that album, and I thought, man, when I saw that record cover on cover Number of a Beast, what is this? I gotta get this. And it's kind of interesting because Maiden, they're not pretty boys or anything. What I mean by that is, I don't know if you've noticed that there's never an Iron Maiden album cover that features a band on the front. It's always their mascot Eddie, and it's kind of cool looking. And I think that was a smart way of marketing the band, because even as a 10-year-old, I picked up on like, what is this? I gotta check that out. And and I'll tell you, I if you ask me like, do you prefer Iron Maiden with Bruce Dickinson? I'd say like a lot of people, yes. But I have respect for like Killers and the first two albums, because that's where the band got its start. And it's kind of, if you go back and you study the first two albums, kind of give those albums a real good listen. Paul Di'Anno is a very different sounding vocalist, but he kind of added kind of a punk element to the band. But I think, they both brought some to the band, but definitely Bruce just took Maiden over the top.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's really what they needed at the time. And I think, kind of going back to what you were saying about that album art thing, and that's such a lost art, in my opinion, and that's something that we really wanted to do with our album cover, and we had it designed by a gal, I believe she's in Greece, but we really wanted something that kind of captured your attention and was like, this is, what is this exactly? Just something that's really interesting to look at, and, kind of even the inside of the art, inside of the, excuse me, the CD and everything, there's just a lot of really cool, like, these planets colliding and just a lot of really cool, trippy space art, and that's, something that we all miss, in...
Yeah, because I saw a picture that you posted today of yourself holding the album, a CD rather, and I was digging the album cover, again, and I was kind of thinking, they could have done the obvious thing and put, the female singer, a picture of her on the cover, and people would have been into that and they would have bought it, but I think picking that album cover you guys did, it kind of, like you said, gives it a little more of a mystique, and people are going to be asking that question, what is that?
Yeah, exactly, and, I don't ever want to be on the cover.
No, but you know what I mean. I mean, a lot of people, a lot of bands, they would have done that. I mean,
sure.
A good example of that is like, I don't know if you're aware of the band, the Butcher Babies. I love the Butcher Babies, and the two female singers. They're great at what they do, and they look nice, and they're nice eye candy. Don't get me wrong, but I think they got a lot more than just looking good. They got talent, and that's why that band works as well.
Right. Exactly.
And I guess before I let you go, Chelsea, final thing I want to ask about is, what do you guys have any plans like to go out there and play live? Reason I'm asking, like a lot of places I know, the last years everything has been locked down. Like, what's it like in Arizona where you guys are things starting to open up again?
Yeah, they are starting to open up. I think they probably opened up slightly earlier than the rest of the country.
Yeah.
But it's been slow. People are definitely still on the cautious side, and promoters are trying to keep everybody safe still and everything. But yeah, and as far as doing shows right now, we're kind of focused on the next album because we really want to get that written, a little more quickly than we did with this album, because this first album took years, and we don't want to have to do that this time around. And we're fresh off of everything, and we're definitely ready to write some new stuff because it's been a while for us.
Wow.
And with last year being so difficult on everyone and everything in every industry, it's like we really want to be able to get back into it again and make up for some of that lost time.
Well, that makes sense too, because I think if you do it that way, by the time the band is out there doing live shows again, you'll then have 2 albums worth of material that you can kind of pick and choose from.
Exactly. Yep, you got it. That's exactly the intention.
And with the recording of this album, like, was it recorded like pre-COVID, or did you guys do it during the lockdown time?
Luckily, it was done pre-COVID, and it was recorded at my old guitar player's home.
Oh, wow.
And he has a studio set up, and that's where we used to practice and everything like that. So he did all of that, and then we had it mixed separately. We sent it off to have it mixed by a guy in Atlanta who did a really good job. And yeah.
So when you say it was done in his studio, like, did you guys do it the old school way where everybody's in the same room, or did you guys kind of send stuff back and forth and piece it together?
We pieced it together. I did, but we would always record there at his place. So we would just, always overdub things and just, do one thing at a time, because we didn't really have the setup and the isolation to be able to do drums, with the vocals. Like, oh man, everything would bleed into everything, and it was just a factory.
Yeah. Now that's interesting. So, when you guys were writing this stuff, did it take you long to kind of write everything? Or I guess what I'm asking is, like, what was the process of once you started writing songs of picking which songs were going to end up on the album versus which ones didn't make it onto?
We chose everything, and I think we were pretty comfortable with the way everything had turned out. So there wasn't anything left behind, which was kind of cool. Yeah. So it made it pretty easy for us, and we wanted a full 10-song album so that it kind of felt nice and complete. So we wrote a couple extra stuff. There's even a couple instrumentals in there.
Yeah.
So we didn't really leave any songs behind at all.
And so, like, obviously the new album, like we said, drops on Friday. I urge everybody to go out and get it. I can't wait to hear the rest of it. But and you're already thinking about the next album, which is good. But have you guys written stuff, or are you kind of getting to that point where you're just going to start writing stuff?
We will, yeah. Once the the kind of chaos and
yeah.
and the fun chaos, of this album and everything. The promotion of it kind of dies down a little bit. We're gonna definitely refocus because right now we're putting all of our energy.
Makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. So once that's done, we can actually focus on writing some new material then.
And then based on the success you've had with just the first video for Between Two Fires, I'm assuming there'll be at least maybe one or two other videos from it.
That's correct. Yep, we actually are in the middle of editing another video for a song on the album. It's called Escaping the Event Horizon. It's actually a live video. It was a video that was done for when we opened for Queensryche, like I said, about a year and a half ago. So that one's getting done, and then we will probably be releasing a lyric video as well in the next couple of months here.
Okay, and let me ask you, like, in regards to the other songs on the album, would you say they all kind of have a progressive metal bent, or what? I guess is it like different types of songs? Would you say is there kind of something for everybody, or would it be kind of more of the same of what people heard on the first single?
I'd say it's definitely on the prog side, and then we do have a couple songs in there, like I said, that are instrumental, so it kind of gives you just a little break from the usual action going on. And then we do have a song in there, like I said, that's kind of the original one that I actually auditioned with, and that's a ballad. So that's probably our only ballad on there. And I mean, I would say there's a lot of stuff going on, and there's definitely something. Well,
I'm a fan of those power ballads, like from the '80s and '90s. So I'm glad to hear you guys weren't afraid to go there,
I'm not sure if everybody agrees with the term ballad, but
you know what I mean.
Ballad to me, it's got a really memorable chorus. Slower. It's like just embrace that old stuff. That stuff's still good,
It just doesn't exactly hit you over the head like a hammer, but
right, exactly.
Yeah. And I guess the very last thing I'm going to ask you about is because we have this other I have this other interview thing I do on the site. It's called On the Record, where we talk to people about like if I was to interview you again, you tell me I'd like to really talk about this album in detail. This one album that that was the album by this particular band that really influenced me, and just you tell us why that album means so much to you. Is there one album that comes to mind, Chelsea, that if we were to do that with you?
I would say Somewhere in Time.
Okay.
Maiden, or I would go with Slave to the Grind by Skid Row.
Well, I'll tell you what. I would be, this interview we just did today is going to post in early August, but down the line, and like I said, I hope you keep in touch, because when I come across bands like yours that really kind of has something to offer, I like to stay in touch and do more than just one interview. So down the line, I'd be willing to have a conversation about both of those. Maybe next time, in a couple of months, we could talk about Slave to the Grind. I'd like to do that by the end of the year, because I don't know if you're even aware of this, but 2021 is the 30th anniversary of that album.
I know. Oh, I'm aware.
so let's talk about that next time, if you don't mind, and we'll keep in touch. And I'll let you know when the interview posts. You take care and have a good rest of the day.
Okay. Thanks so much.
Bye-bye.